Hey guys, so today I want to talk about and sort of speculate on what we might see for New Year's in Dokkan, obviously on the JP version of the game. So first things first, I expect V-Jump to come out. I'm recording this actually like right as it turned the 16th of December. It's like 12:30 in the morning. But we should be seeing V-Jump release within the next day or two. And if we go by what happened last year with V-Jump, we actually did get the information for the transforming Vegeta into Majin Vegeta and the transforming Super Saiyan 2 Goku into Super Saiyan 3 Goku in that V-Jump scan. So if we do go by last year, we will know in like 2 days from now at the latest exactly who is going to be, well, I'm assuming that it's going to be in the V-Jump this year again because it was last year. So most likely we will know in like 2 days from now who's going to be coming up in the Dokkan Fest, Dual Dokkan Fest for New Year's for JP Dokkan soon. So prior to that coming out, I just wanted to make a fun video and speculate on some combinations we could potentially see. The first one I'm just going to talk about right now that I don't have included in my 5 choices is Gogeta and Janemba. I feel like that's a very, very likely possibility. Not something I'm super excited about personally, just because we've been getting fusions nonstop the entire year. We've literally gotten like every single fusion this year, and obviously would be very hyped to get Gogeta and Janemba. But that would be the 3rd time we've gotten that same exact Dual Dokkan Fest. So, you know, at what point does it start to become a little bit stale? I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to be very hyped. We're probably going to get millions of top grossing countries for it when it comes to global. So I'm not knocking that point about it, but for me personally, that's not something I would choose as one of my top 5 Dual Dokkan Fests for this game. So let me just quickly show off what we received last year. So these are the banners that we got last year for New Year's. We got the transforming Super Saiyan 2 Angel Goku into Super Saiyan 3, and we got the transforming Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta into Majin Vegeta. And just historically speaking, we have never gotten Dokkan Fest LRs for New Year's. They've always been TURs. It's possible they do change that up this year because they've been releasing and seemingly are more comfortable with releasing more and more Dokkan Fest LRs as the game has progressed since the 3rd year anniversary, which is when they first introduced Dokkan Fest LRs. So we'll see if they end up doing that. I think if it is Gogeta and Janemba, though, they probably will more likely than not be LRs because of the fact that the Vegito event, that's like, I think it was called like the Ultimate Pair on Global or something, that specific Vegito tied to that event was an LR. So if they redid the Gogeta for that specific event as well, I would find it hard to believe that they would make him a TUR instead of an LR to go alongside Vegeta. Or Vegito. It would kind of be like a shaft if they did for Gogeta if they made him a TUR while the Vegito's an LR. But yeah, I think they would probably make those LRs, which means that I don't know if they would throw them for New Year's. Again, it's possible they just change it and make them LRs though. So anyway, moving on to my list. Basically just 5 choices that I picked out. I try to label them in order of you know, most likely to least likely, or sorry, least likely to most likely. So number 1 is the most likely, I think, and then number 5 is probably the least likely. But these are just things that I would personally like to see. So it's not anything crazy, not anything that's definitive at all. Just like, oh, you know, it'd be cool to see this. It's kind of like a laid-back discussion video. It's not going to be super long. So number 5 is going to be Goku and Frieza from Namek. Now, I was debating on whether I wanted to do a Goku and Frieza from Namek or a Goku and Frieza from Resurrection F. I think actually a Goku and Frieza from Resurrection F is probably more likely than this, but it's debatable because a Goku from Resurrection F, we just got this super busted EZA for that existing AGL Super Saiyan Blue Goku from the Resurrection F movie. And usually when they release like super powerful EZA, well, not usually, but there have been times when they've released very powerful EZA units. Only to like immediately replace them with a new LR or whatever. So there might be something there to that where they released that Goku, intentionally made him very good, and then are going to release even a better one that's a new unit in like a few weeks or a few months from that point. So it's possible they do release an ROF version of the Frieza versus Goku for a Dual Dokkan Fest for New Year's. But we don't have an LR Golden Frieza in Dokkan. And I feel like, if they're going to make them LRs, they're most likely not going to be for New Year's because they've never done that before. And that's the reason why I have these guys at number 5 on my list, because I don't think they're going to release like pretty much what most people consider to be the best like fight in Dragon Ball as TURs at this point. I feel like we've had enough Super Saiyan Gokus and Friezas in the game to where they're ready to finally drop, you know, summonable LRs, Dokkan Fest LRs for these characters. We already do have a summonable LR for Frieza. It's literally the scene. It's the Nova Strike scene. We don't really have a top tier Namek Super Saiyan Goku from, you know, the Namek saga, which is crazy. It's almost 6 years into the game and we don't have that. So this guy clearly, in my opinion, does deserve like a top tier Dokkan Fest LR, at least in my opinion. And then Frieza does as well. We don't really have a top super ridiculously overpowered final form Frieza from Namek for whatever reason. Like we have the STR one, he's fine. We have the AGL one, who's good. But other than that, it's like kind of bland. I mean, the free-to-play one's fine, but it's free-to-play, and it's like, sure. I don't know. They could do a lot better, so I think they're definitely saving that for some point. But again, they probably would release these guys as the Dokkan Fest LRs, and I don't see that happening for New Year's this year, so that's why they're number 5 for me. All right, number 4, we have Kid Goku versus Demon King Piccolo. This is one that I feel like is more attractive to the audience over in Japan, because people in Japan and the audience in Japan are typically more attached to original Dragon Ball more so than we are in the West. But nonetheless, I feel like people over in the West would still appreciate something like this, because we haven't really gotten much Dragon Ball stuff, just period, over the course of this game's lifespan. And I feel like Kid Goku, if you look back at how good Kid Goku's, Kid Goku's Dokkan Fest performed in terms of revenue when it released, I think he still to this day is the fastest top-grossing unit in the game. Like the unit that achieved top-grossing the quickest out of any banner that's ever released in the game. So going off of that alone, I feel like they would have no problem releasing this. The problem is, and we're going to see this, happen throughout the rest of these picks that I have coming up here, but the naming issue is definitely something that's going to create problems for a lot of these units. I mean, even go back to this one. Like, we already have a really good, like, full power Frieza, so they could do it transforming, final form into full power. We already have a very good Super Saiyan Goku. We already have a Namek transforming Goku from the saga, but he's a TUR. We're at the point in this game, almost 6 years in on JP, where I feel like they don't have to worry about that anymore, because we're eventually going to reach a point where we're going to have like 4, 5, 6 top tier units of every name in the game. Like, if the game keeps going on the way it's going, it's going to happen that way, and there's nothing we can really do to curb that, really. So the way that you kind of fix that issue without really fixing it is you just keep making the units with the same names, but then you have to make them different enough from each other to where there's instances where you'd want to run one over the other depending on what situation you're in. So here we have Kid Goku. They can go down one of two paths. They can go down just making him a Kid Goku, and then that's it. Or they can go down a path of naming him Kid Goku Giant Ape, where, maybe it's the Kid Goku from when he turned Giant Ape once or something. And then they just throw him into the fight versus Demon King Piccolo. And then Demon King Piccolo, since we already have a transforming older Demon King Piccolo into younger Demon King Piccolo, they went make this guy just a straight up younger Demon King Piccolo that has an active skill that's just a buff or something. And then for the Kid Goku, what I would personally want to see out of this is just a normal Kid Goku. Unfortunately, replace the other one, well, for most things. But there's a scene where it's him and Yajirobe, right? And he drinks, I think it's called the Ultra Divine Water in English. And but maybe it's the superhuman water. I can't remember what the translation they called it in English, but he drinks that and he starts like choking or something, and like he goes through this like very dramatic scene, and that exact power up that Goku receives from that point is actually the teaser for the Kid Goku Dokkan Fest they put in Dokkan, where it pans over to Korra and he's like, what is this power? Like, this is incredible power. That's what I want to see out of this Goku's active skill. It would be like a buff to himself. He would drink the water, and then he would receive a buff to himself. So I think that would be pretty cool for this guy. But that's my number 4 pick. Number 3, I have a similar thing, where it's Goku versus Ma Jr. from the World Tournament. I'm kind of surprised we don't have this in the game yet. The biggest issue that I see with this is this would have been a very big help to the Dragon Ball Saga, but unfortunately, the Dragon Ball Saga does not actually capture this World Tournament in that category. So unfortunately, it wouldn't be a help to that saga. The reason why I would like this a lot for the game specifically is because, well, one, I love the fight. It's one of my favorite fights in the series. And then B, I feel like a Ma Jr. from this time period in Dragon Ball would be very, very helpful to a lot of the lesser used, more underutilized categories in the game, like Namekians, like World Tournament, like Giant Form, because this would be a Giant Form, Ma Jr., which in those 3 categories would receive huge buffs from this guy alone, which would be great. And then again, Goku would buff World Tournament, and then like low-class warriors, maybe he'll be on there as well. So, this would be a very, very good Dokkan Fest for the game in terms of promoting and strengthening those categories that really aren't used that much, which I think is important. Number 2, we have Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Super Baby 2. And what I would do for this one specifically is I would make this a Super Saiyan 3 Giant Ape, or I guess Golden Giant Ape, GT Goku, who transforms into Super Saiyan 4 Goku, because we don't have that. I'm surprised we don't have that yet. It's been, like, since we got the first Super Saiyan 4 in the game, it's been almost 4 years. And then this would be a Super Baby 1 who transforms into Super Baby 2. So a double transforming TUR Dokkan Fest for these guys I think would be really, really cool. And that would also be a buff to the, Grade A Power category, a buff to Transformation Boost, I guess, again. Same thing with this guy as well. And this could introduce, honestly, a new category that I wouldn't be that upset about, because generally I don't really like the fact that they just keep pumping out these new categories without there being really a meaning to it. But this one actually would have a meaning to it. This would potentially introduce the Baby Saga category to the game, which I feel like could be very, very good. So that's my number 2 pick. I feel like people would definitely go really ham for this because of how little we actually delve into GT with Dokkan. And I feel like that's kind of a problem, but on the other hand, it's really not that big of a problem because there's not really much in GT to really do. But this is one of the things that they haven't done specifically, so I'm expecting this at some point in the future. So that's my number 2 pick. And my number 1 pick, I'm sure you guys at this point can probably guess what my number 1 pick is going to be, but it is Goku versus Vegeta from the Saiyan Saga. The reason why I picked this is just because I can't believe we don't have like a mainstay Dual Dokkan Fest type of unit for these characters from Dragon Ball at this point. Like, this and this are like, these are the two of the top 3 most iconic fights in the entire series, and you don't have like super hype units for these fights yet, which is crazy to me. Back in the day, Dokkan really didn't used to go back to these like early Dragon Ball Z sagas to flesh them out, and they still haven't done that with the Saiyan Saga. So we have the Nappa and Vegeta LR, which was the first time they really did anything major from that arc, I feel like. And I don't know, I feel like this would sell very well. We are getting the AGL Kaioken Goku EZA on JP at this point. I believe it's part of the Hero and Villain Extermination event, so I guess this could sort of be a teaser for this, maybe not. Actually, I think that Goku is technically tied to the Namek Saga, but he's not on like a saga category. It's really weird. I don't know what they did with that Goku, but this could be a very cool Dual Dokkan Fest. Again, Vegeta could buff the Giant Ape category. He could be a Giant Ape Vegeta. He probably would be. Maybe introduce a new mechanic to the game, something that like drastically helps out the Giant Ape team because it's so bad or so unfun to use. And it's possible they've already foreshadowed this based on the fact that they went and redid how the Giant Ape transformation conditions are displayed on cards, as well as in the passive of these units. So that could definitely be something that we're going to see in the future. I think at some point we're seeing this for sure, no matter what. Whether or not it's going to be the end of this year or not, I don't know. But it's possible this is it. And then this Goku, I mean, any Goku, I'll take any guy. Literally, I don't care. We have a million Gokus. We're going to have a million Gokus by the time this game has reached its 7th anniversary, 8th anniversary, that, like, might as well just pump them out, right? It doesn't matter. But this is pretty much it. The last thing I do want to quickly talk about, and I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video, is this is when they first started to chronologically release units that were leading up to the worldwide celebration in August, right? So I don't know if they're going to do the same thing this year. They might. It depends on what they want to do for the worldwide celebration. I feel like they won't. Only reason why I say they won't start that with the New Year's units this year is because they did the Majin Buu saga specifically this past year, and there's so much to get through for the Majin Buu saga that they had to start this really early on JP, right? We had the Goku and we had the Vegeta, then we had Gotenks and Buu, right? Then we had Gohan, and then we led into the worldwide celebration where we finally went into the Vegeta stuff, then we went into the end of the Buu saga. So there was a lot of build up to that, and I don't know if there's another saga even like in Dragon Ball that has that much build up attached to it. So I don't know if they're going to start the chronological order stuff as soon as New Year's this year, but it's possible they do. I don't even know if they're going to do it again this year at all, but we'll see. Anyway, that is pretty much going to wrap up this video. I appreciate you guys watching this one. Let me know down below what you think is going to come out for New Year's this year on Dokkan. I think a lot of people have been asking specifically for this Saiyan Saga stuff, so it would be exciting to see that. I would be happy with any of these things, really. There's not anything on here that I would be like, oh, damn, So anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one.